talk about what's morally right. I'm on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Radio Cast, and Apple Podcasts. And I'm here right now talking to you guys about a subject that was really popular when I did the podcast last year. It was protecting and preserving other species. And the reason why I'm talking about it is because humans tend to ignore every other species on the planet but humans. It's like all they think about is other humans. You know, they're dealing with them, or it's the mating thing. They're always thinking about having a sex partner, a love partner, or they're always thinking about who's going to attack them, or who they're going to have to beat up, or all kinds of crap. Who's got my money? Who's got this and that? People are obsessed with other people, even if they don't want to admit it or not. Even when it comes to them living by themselves, they think about, hey, I don't want to deal with somebody that's messed up, or someone's going to use me and take advantage of me. But they don't think about animals enough. And those that do think about animals and actually have them, they tend to treat them more like humans than what they actually are. And that's a good thing, I guess, in some ways, because it builds a bond between animals and mankind. But at the same time, you gotta let the species be what it is. You gotta try to understand the species and know it well, even before you obtain trying to have ownership of another animal. So what I'm getting at is this, okay? It's like we live in a time period where people are worried about their health, but then some of them aren't. And the health of animals is just as important as humans. And the reason why I say this is because, well, we eat a lot of meat. Meat is a big thing. And so I can understand the vegetarians, because either they got a love for animals, or, you know, they just want to be around them and they don't want to, you know, eat the meat, or they feel bad because they're part of the problem, so they start eating vegetarian stuff. I don't know. Even if you are a meat eater, and I mean, it's a little hard to break yourself of an old habit. I just say less meat, more veggies and stuff, and, you know, you'll be all right. But the thing about it is, it makes a lot of sense not to eat meat. And this is a spiritual thing, so this is where the moral value comes in on this subject. To eat meat or not to eat meat. Eat meat because you enjoy eating meat, you want to survive and you need that protein, or don't eat it because you want to preserve animal species. You want to continue, and, you know what I mean, with billions of people around the world, there's going to be a high number of a selection of certain meat to eat. And there's this thing that's on YouTube. I don't know what YouTuber put it out there, what the name of the show was or whatever, but the guy or woman, whoever created it, has a number chart of every animal that humans eat, and from, you know, the lowest all the way to the highest. And the numbers are crazy, seriously crazy. There's like, when it comes to cows, it's like 12 billion or something. There's billions, not billions, but millions. So there's millions when it comes to cow meat and pork and all this crap. And it goes from fish and all that, there's all these selections of meat that people eat. I mean, you can just think of whatever it is that you know people eat, and it's on this chart. And no matter what culture it is, it could be Asian, it could be Mexican, it could be black, white, whatever. Okay, culture doesn't matter, skin color doesn't matter, because with this, all humans are guilty of the same thing. It's the same thing I feel about when it comes to humans and crime. You know, no one's perfect, no one's flawless. Someone in every culture will break a law that is put there. And this is why there's no superior species, or no superior race, I should say, when it comes to humans. But when it comes to animals, when humans are guilty all over the board for eliminating species because they taste good. I mean, we almost lost buffaloes and bisons and stuff, you know, in the 1800s, because pioneers were coming from one part of the country to go all the way to Oregon, and they were eating all this buffalo meat and stuff, and they were making them go extinct. I remember there was like a small selection somewhere in the 1200s or something like that when I was younger, and now it's, you know, abundant again, and now they're selling the meat again. But that doesn't mean that, once again, we won't come close to an extinction of a certain species that everyone eats. The number one on this whole chart was chicken. Chicken was the number one animal that gets eaten more than anything else on this planet. And I'm not saying that, oh, we're going to run out of chickens. But yeah, we could run out of chickens. We could run out of a lot of chickens. I know it sounds like I'm like building myself up for a joke about chickens, but seriously, it doesn't make any sense. How if you saw this number, it'll blow your mind. I mean, it's beyond billions. There's trillions and stuff of people eating chicken. Okay, compared to a cow, and you would think cow would be like number two, right next to chicken, but you're wrong. You know, because of all the burgers and stuff, but you're wrong. It's way below. It's like, so if chickens is number one animal that gets eaten the most, and you look at cow would be like number 8 or 9 on this list. And it's so weird because there's so many other species that gets eaten a lot more than chicken. And my mind was blown. But my point is, because of that, this is just edibles, or I shouldn't say edible. I was going to say edible species to eat, right? But all animals can be eaten. In the Bible and Peter, they talk about, or the way the story goes, Peter had a dream in the Bible, and he was dreaming about food. At the time, you know, you couldn't eat shellfish or pork. It's a religious thing all over, you know, all over the board with pork. Except for when you get to Buddhism, all life is valuable. And I'm getting to that in a minute. But, you know, in his dream, it was like he was thinking about eating something or whatnot, and then a giant sheet, which part makes me wonder. There's no part where most people will always talk about aliens in the Bible or aliens in some form of history. But in this story, you kind of got to figure out, just by the way it's explained, that something is bringing these animals to Peter. But let me finish telling the story. So he's having this dream, and he's in this like tower thing or something, and all of a sudden this giant sheet comes down with every animal on the planet. And you know, he was hungry or whatever, and so the sheet drops and it says, you know, God says, or you hear God, a voice from heaven or something, say, eat all, you know, eat it all, and you know, they're pretty much saying that you can eat any animal now. You know, before it was like a strict rule of what animals you could eat. But it was saying that because of Jesus and stuff, you can eat every animal now and stuff. And I can't remember exact why. And I'm not explaining the biblical story right, pretty much, because it's been a minute since I read it. So there's stronger Christians and people that believe in this story that knows a lot more about what I'm talking about. And so they're probably like, oh, good, at least he knows something, if not nothing. But the thing about it is, so with that story, there's supposed to be like giraffes and camels and all this crap in this sheet, and it comes down. But then later on, he wakes up, he tells somebody about it, and the thing happens exactly the way it happened in his dream. And once again, a sheet came down full of animals, and they say, eat, you know, like, so it's like, in that story, you're like, looking at it, and this is the crazy part, because people still believe in the old ways of not eating shellfish or pigs, and the reason why, because like crab, lobster, oysters, all that stuff. Those things are supposed to be bottom feeders. They're supposed to be eating crap in the ocean. And so that's why you're not supposed to eat them. They're unclean. Same thing with pigs. They're supposed to be unclean, unhealthy animal because they eat and roll around in their own filth. And so this is why, in a religious sense, you're not supposed to eat them. At least that's what I believe. You're supposed to eat something purified, that's clean, and whatnot. So that's why all the other animals are supposed to be edible. Now, I'm not saying go and run around and eat every animal you see. You know, some old lady walking with a chihuahua, you don't grab her chihuahua and just start eating the chihuahua. I'm just saying that that people's choices on animals change. And for some reason, chicken is the number one thing, okay? Fried, baked, boiled, whatever. People dig chicken. And because it's supposed to be a white meat, which is supposed to be more healthier. And in that same sense, pork is supposed to be a white meat. I noticed that a lot of people of darker skin tones eat more pork. And I'm not just saying black folks, like Mexicans eat a lot of pork. A lot. You know, I used to be with a Latin woman and she ate a lot of pork. But this is a thing that happens. So it happens because of generational knowledge on what to eat and how to eat it and how to prepare it and Some dishes are so cool just with this one food or whatever. But the thing about it is, we have to find a way to limit our desires to eat in a certain way because of the fact that these are living beings. And the main thing I've heard, especially when I went to lots of different church services and lots of different belief systems, that they believe animals don't have souls, which is ridiculous. You know, we have one, they got one. There's just some secret that the animals know that don't tell us, and we know most animals can talk if given the choice of being around humans and long enough, they'll talk. You know, our birds, for one, do it constantly. You hear cats do it, and I think those are the main two. You hear dogs that can try to imitate in a way how to talk, and there's certain other animals that can do probably the same. I got that one video with the freaking zebra yelling into a car. It sounds like a person streaming into a car, but it's just crazy. But the thing about it is, you know, they got some kind of soul, some kind of spirit or essence of a being, you know, on our level, because they can do certain things that look very human, look very like a person with individuality, personality. And the thing about it is, you can't say, I mean, who are we to say it has or doesn't have a soul? To me, the Bible doesn't say that the animals don't have soul. And a lot of other things don't say that. So when it comes, like, for instance, here's where I'm going with Buddhism. Everything's alive. Everything on the planet is alive. The planet itself is alive. We just live on it. We're the parasites that live on it. It's just like when you look at a person, you know, we walk around, we think we're clean and stuff. There's living parasites on us that come from our parents, from their parents, and so forth. And so you have tiny little microscopic bugs on you that you don't even know from the time you're born to the time you die. And when you interact with people, or like, for instance, a lover, and their parasites blend with your parasites, and, you know, when you have a baby, it's like a combination of both parasites. I know this sounds crazy as hell, but it's the truth, and you can look it up. But the point of what I'm trying to get at is this: even that's alive on you. So if you pass, and was that creature's whole existence is flawed. It's like the earth dying itself. So you think about that. If we're parasites living on the earth, and earth gets destroyed, then everything ceases to exist, right? At least that would make more logic. And when it comes to Buddhism, all things are alive. There's a book that's written by Thich Nhat Hanh. And I could spell it out. I might just write it down here in the comments. So right now you're probably seeing it. I don't know. But Thich Nhat Hanh, okay? And so it's like, he's a Buddhist monk from Vietnam, and he wrote a great book. And it was like right at the big, I guess I want to say flood, but it's not a flood. It was like a hurricane type of thing, tsunami, big freaking whirlpool in the middle of the ocean in the Pacific right next to Japan. Which Japan went through all this crap in 2007. So this is what, around that time, there's an area where there was a whole bunch of rocks on the ocean. Now, Thich Nhat Hanh says all this in his book. And I read that book really, like, from front to back within, like, I don't know, a day or two. Because it was so, I mean, it was interesting. So I read through it real quick. And I couldn't get away from the knowledge there. Anyway, so he was, like, talking about this area of rocks that they have that's all lined up in a certain way, looking fancy. And when I keep trying to say hurricane, whatever it was, hurricane, the disaster that happened in Japan in 2007, the rocks got misplaced and thrown around. All the people in the area went around and grabbed the rocks and put them right back in the formation that they were before the disaster hit. Now, why would they do that? They did it because they believed those rocks were alive. And you're thinking, rocks, how could they be alive? Well, physically, or science way anyway, atoms move around constantly. I mean, physically, atoms are just right now, okay? Like, yes, we're you know, bio entities, but yet you have a desk The thing just looks like wood. It's just sitting there, but there's atoms moving around to keep it solid. How does it stay solid? Physically, it shouldn't be solid. It shouldn't be solid at all. You should be able to put your hand right through it. You should be able to put your hand through a wall. I should be able to put my hand through this freaking door to get into my closet. But this is seriously, but solid objects happen somehow with things that are moving constantly with friction to create a solid object. How's this done? Who knows? But it's done by God or the spirit world or whatever you want to believe in. And it's put there for a reason, to show that there's power. If you can't look above in the sky at night when the stars are everywhere and realize that there's something greater than you, then you gotta look at the objects and things that's right in front of you and realize there's something greater than you, because there's some tiny, tiny thing, an atom, that is moving so fast. It's constantly moving like this. Some of them go like they spin around all like this and stuff. And the reason why, and they got nucleus. God dang, I can't even say my science right now. A nucleus and so forth. There's a core in there somewhere. And it's been a minute since I did this science, but still, the point of it is, without these things moving around, then it's not a physical object, or there's no life. It has a big thing to do with anything. If Adam is and I'm not talking about atoms in science, I'm talking about Adam as in Adam and Eve. If Adam's supposed to be the first man and everything and created all of mankind, then I suggest that Adam is an atom. Because how are we here? There's a physical thing that's keeping us alive, besides the fact that we know our bodies run off of energy. So there's energy, like a special spark inside of all of us that's created not just from the earth itself, but from a divine source. This is a way powerful concept and a big powerful conversation about creation. How does energy, out of all the crap you charge up all day, your phone dies within like 2 seconds. You charge it says 100, but then somehow it drops to like 50 or 30. You got to charge it somewhere. You got your cards down that need to be charged. You got battery chargers. Charge, right? They all need something to replenish their energy. Humans are no different. We need energy. We need energy to survive, energy. Like sometimes there's days I don't do nothing, like physically, not just physically, but like, how can I say this? Or do too much physically is what I'm trying to say. And I don't eat enough. I think the reason why I'm big is because, I'm preserving stuff until I eat again. Like I'm kind of put my body in starvation mode. I don't know what the hell. I was getting somewhere, but who cares about myself? About myself, who cares what I'm talking about? Well, point is this. This is where food comes in, is to try to replenish your energy that you lost. Either drinking something will help, boost your energy a bit. And mostly water is the number one drink in the world. Not pop, not coffee, and all this other stuff. Those are luxuries. Because if you were in another country or even in the woods somewhere, you're not going to walk up to a tree and pour coffee out or be able to pull a freaking Budweiser or something out of the lake. They used to have commercials like that in the 80s. They go to the lake and there's a big party. Also, they're pulling out a 6-pack of freaking beer, So, it's just, those are luxuries. Those are not truth of anything, but water is the main source of energy, health, and whatnot. And so the problem is water can be tainted because it's in such an open area and open space. Here in America, the water is not our own. That's why they try to put a tax on it by making us pay water bills. And even if you was to collect rainwater, you would be guilty again because they're saying you're stealing water within their country when it obviously comes from the sky. And another good tip for you guys, if you own land, a house or whatever, you actually own the airspace above that house. People won't tell you that. So you can say, hey, I don't want planes flying over my area. They'll have to direct that plane somewhere else, especially if there's a big petition within that neighborhood. I'm just saying. But that's just some knowledge just to be thrown out there if you don't know. But anyway, and I don't know how that works in other countries, but that's how it works here in the States. But the thing about it is you have to realize that the energy that you're trying to put in has to be something that's clean enough for your spark to keep going. Some people can live without eating, but they live the whole thing about it is you start to live off of whatever your body weight is. You know your body will break down fat to preserve it. It'll preserve fat for a time there's no food, and then it will be able to use that fat as a way to keep you going. And so this is why a lot of people are overweight. We're not burning enough energy to be able to burn off the fat or whatever. And yes, some people disagree and say, oh, it's about diets and so forth. It's about energy. But this is where I say a lot of us are restricted on trying to actually live life a certain way because we live in cities and things where there's not enough shit to do. Everything has to do with money. You have to go to a restaurant, pay for something. You have to pay for your car to get fixed. You got to pay for this and that and so forth. And there's nothing where you can just live free, walk up somewhere, piss by a tree, or jump off a lake or something. Just walk around, build something you want to build. Grow things you want to grow. Try to learn how to work with livestock or anything. I mean, I can go on and on. Try to make a miso and a kojo and put them in jars and put them up, or try to make a brewing company out of beer, make wine, whatever. It's unlimited if you was to live in the woods and the forest. It's unlimited on the crap you can build and things. You already know about it. You can just learn about it and then try to do it for yourself. It's an experiment. And I think that's a great life lesson, better than just going down to a textile mill, or you can create one of those too, or go to like anodizing business where you're working with metal, pulling aluminum out that's hot and doing stuff that the business has already created. Naturally, you wouldn't know how to do that unless you sit there and put yourself in a situation where you have to make metal. And that's a certain thing where you have to put iron in some place, and I forget how it goes. You put iron in some kind of rocks, and you burn them to a point to where it's nice and hot, and you're able to put other metal inside there, and then you can stretch it out and bend it, and so you pound it until you get it into the shape you want it to get. And I mean, blacksmithing is an ancient technique that's still around. It's not a lost trade, even though people want you to think it is. It's just nowadays in our century, we call it welding, because they weld all types of freaking metal together. It's a new form of blacksmithing. It's the future tech of blacksmithing is welding things together. So I went way off about. I knew I was going to do this. I was trying to stay on my subject about preserving and protecting the animal species, but I knew I was going to go off topic. But anyway, so my point is that we need to keep these things alive. Like when you look at animals and think of things, and you gotta look at some like kung fu movies. They're always talking about the tiger style, lion style, or tiger, crane, mantis, monkey, which is actually drunken boxing, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And they keep the animals within the zodiac and Chinese zodiac and stuff like that. So they base their life around animals, but not just Chinese, but Native Americans too. Bears are supposed to be highly looked upon in the Native American community, as well as wolves and eagles and so forth. So these are things that every culture idolize, but yet a lot of cultures don't try to protect and preserve. And I believe if these animals are put there in certain ways, if everyone has a certain animal that they respect, they should preserve these animals and protect them. I mean, providing for them, not preserve, but protect them. I keep saying preserve, but providing something for them and need to keep them alive, to keep their population numbers up, instead of letting them fall down and because if we're the only thing on this planet, it'd be a freaking boring ass planet. It'd be the most depressing, miserable place on Earth. Hell, it is Earth. It's the truth. I like animals. I like mammals, mostly. Amphibians. I used to have frogs. I used to collect frogs when I was little. Like go to a river or something, pull tadpoles out and things like that. Like turtles. Like freaking, I can go on and on about certain animals. And then what trips me out though, recently, and I might go find a video and talk about it on this show, is because I watched Candace Owens one time, and she was talking about Cardi B and talking about how people look like animals, and she kept saying Cardi B looks like a camel. But then she pulled up a photo of a kangaroo. How can you mistake the two? Kangaroos are big, buff creatures that can punch you and kick the hell out of you. They're pretty much the best fighting animal there is. Put them in the ring next to a person and they kick their butt. I mean, they got black and white videos of guys getting their butt kicked by kangaroos. Kangaroos deserve a black belt and as well as a championship for the title of any type of fighting event. And I agree with this. You find me another animal that can kick and box, and that sucker should be in there challenging the kangaroo. But for right now, there should be a big team of kangaroo fighters running around, punching and kicking everybody. And that's just my opinion, man. Like, I'm so serious. Like, you could hire, if you could get, if they could train a kangaroo how to talk, and then you hire kangaroos as bodyguards, and they walk around beating the hell out of people. They bounce. They walk around bouncing next to you, and they wait for somebody to start some static, and they just start beating the hell out of them. I mean, they understand us and stuff. There's so many things I've seen recently because of another show I'm doing when it comes to animals. I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And it just it trips me out because I wouldn't think of that. You wouldn't think it. But a world of forgotten animals, the animals are going to let you know, hey, I'm still here. They're going to pop up on your yard, take a big dump on your car. They're going to run out and snatch something from a freaking vendor that's selling food on the street. They're going to do all this stuff to make you realize they're there. Nature has a way of making you realize it's still around. So the best thing I can say when it comes to this whole issue is respect nature. Respect the whole symbiont circle. Every single species there is. Respect every mammal there is. Respect every primate there is. Because lots of you guys want to say you're monkeys and shit. So, like you come from monkeys, okay? So, respect your monkeys. Okay, go to the zoo, look at them, go crazy, and then go, I'm not a monkey. Okay? And so, just plain and simple, just respect the symbiont circle, respect nature, respect God. Because that's the one that created all this. Without it, none of us would be here. And it'd be so boring, like I said, if it was just humans. Like, I get fed up with dealing with humans, like, within one day, sometimes. So I need a space. You need to get back. You need to meditate. You know, get away from people, meditate, and pray. And this is your best connection to God. You know, and it's so safe in the Bible. But here's another one for you. You need to be in nature when you do this sometimes. You got to get in a place where you can feel life around you all over. Feel the presence of life. Feel the presence of a force greater than you. Feel the presence of harmony amongst all the creations. And that's what the wilderness is. It's a harmony. It's like plants and animals and all of them working together. All of them serving a purpose to help each other. Like bees have to go get pollen. You know, bees get created. They go help get pollen and bring it back. They make wax. They make honey. You know, they make all this stuff. And then you got animals that depend on honey. You got honey bears, honey badgers. You know, you even got birds that eat honey. You got all these things that need honey. And then from there on, every animal that needs honey has their own individual reason why they need it. And then their needs for other things fill another purpose. Everything has a purpose and a need that comes together. It's just like I said, this is the harmony. And the reason why I started with bees is because bees have a big thing that goes around. There's so much stuff. I mean, like I said, you got honey bears, honey badgers, you got humans that eat honey. You got all kinds of things, and then they go off and got their own thing. You know, honey badgers got their thing going on where they're fighting everything on the planet. You know, they need to be tough. Honey makes them tough. And there's birds that help the honey badgers. That thing needs help. And then there's bears, honey bears, and they're going out there and they're serving a purpose somehow by eating honey, keeping them alive and keeping energy, which is a great thing. And I think the thing about it is we just don't respect species enough. If anything, you know, instead of having a zoo, you know, I think petting zoos are all right, but those are mostly farm animals. And then, like, if you were to think about a safari type of thing or an area, you know, there'd be more areas where they just let animals populate to grow up the numbers, and then that way we won't lose a species on the planet. We'll be able to preserve practically all species. And I think another thing that needs to be understood is we need to educate people. Let's say, okay, let's just, going back, let's saying that if there was a kid that wanted to be a veterinarian, well, he's sitting in school, he's learning all the basics, but there should be like, and I believe this shit, there should be apprenticeships for trades that are about to become a thing of the past. Like, for instance, butcher. How many people are being trained to be butchers? How many of them actually going to college for it? When you can just probably walk up to a butcher and they'll teach you stuff. And it's like a kung fu master. You got a butcher, kung fu master, teaching you how to butch. Or butch. You know what I mean? It sounds cool, but it's the same thing. Like, for instance, if I wanted to, like, let's say you had a daughter or something, and she wanted to be an ice skater. So she goes and she's trying to find an ice skater. Let's say she found Tonya Harding, for example, and she taught her the triple axel. Okay, that's like a kung fu move. She learned a kung fu move that most ice skaters cannot perform, cannot do, a triple axel. And so she's learning from the great Tonya Harding, which is a kung fu master we all know, who actually will take out your kneecaps. And so because of this, she has learned a great skill that was passed down a trade, and now she is the master of the triple axel. And so there's other ice skaters that can do some crap, and they're training their students how to do it, and now they're masters of it. It's the same thing with basketball, football, everything. Every human trade can have an apprentice and a student to learn these trades. Seriously. And I don't see why the hell not. I mean, why worry about getting a job that you know you're going to hate? People always say do work that you like. Well, if people could walk up to people that know skills like this, then everyone would be able to benefit in some kind of way. Like the bees and the honey in a hive. Okay? It's that simple. It's like a woman that knows how to sew or knit, and not too many girls know how to do that anymore. They'd rather go buy Louis Vuittons and Gigi's or whatever the hell the Gigi is, or Gucci or whatever the hell it's called. And, they want to do all this expensive crap. Well, why waste your money on bullshit when you can just buy something to make you happy? Who cares about what you look like? Honestly, well, the concept I don't understand when it comes to women is this, okay? And I'm just saying this, it has nothing to do with the subject once again, but I just gotta say this. Guys don't give a damn about the expensive clothes you're wearing. They just want to see you in something nice. You're going to look good to them anyway because you're the opposite sex. You draw attention. So it doesn't matter if it's some expensive ass Louis Vuitton or Gucci or whatever the hell. Fennel, I think they call it. I think that's the word they say. Fennel bag or some bullshit. I don't know. I'm a dude. But still. It's like no one cares what the hell you look like. Just wear something nice, present yourself proper, and you're gonna get a dude. You don't have to be the expensive crap because you can't take it with you. Just make sure whatever you're getting is something worth value, and that goes for humans and animals too. So if you get an animal, make sure it's something that you care about and that you want to preserve. If you like an animal, don't just be like, oh, I like this animal. Find a way to help out. Start a donation to help that animal out that's dying or in need. Start a non-profit organization to help these animals survive and build a reservation for them, or I don't know if that's the right term, reservation, or some kind of facility to house and help these animals and things like that, and just go all out. If you really like an animal, just find a way to keep the population growing. It's kind of like purebred animals are kind of weak in some ways because they're not replicating more DNA. I said this before in another thing, but it's the same thing with humans. If you're dealing with the same kind, there's going to be weaknesses and certain things that the body can't do anymore because of the fact that the same DNA is being replicated. So crossbreeding is a thing. Well, when it comes to certain species. Actually, no. Never mind. I'm confusing myself because I'm totally confusing myself. No, I'm not saying like crossbreeding like a rabbit and a dog or something like that. But I'm saying, like, for instance, a Chihuahua. Chihuahuas are there. You can mix a Chihuahua with a Maltese, or I don't know, a bulldog. Might get a pug. I don't know, a pug can mess around with that would be some weird mixture on what I'm thinking. But a beagle and a pug, you know what I'm saying? But it would be a butt. But mutts actually are stronger because of DNA mixture. People don't really explain this a lot. So it's the same thing. I've been pondering that with humans a lot too. It's like, but the only problem is sometimes you see when it comes to biracial people that they're completely bonkers compared to the original. And I believe that, and this is what I'm saying, I believe that biracial people should be a spokesperson to find a way to unite the two cultures that they're created from, instead of trying to focus on picking what side, you know. And that's the problem, is they always pick a side. If they're black and white, biracial person, they're always picking a side. When I pick a side, try to find a way to unite both sides and try to find a way to give them strength and explain the similarities you see because you're biracial. And not just with black and white, with like black and Mexican or native and black, which is a more common thing than you think. And, lots of different other cultures, be able to find a way to bring them both together to become one. So, and I think this is the greatest way to have understanding amongst the cultures and race, is to have the biracial people come together and try to unite both cultures instead of picking a side and being in it. Because it really bothers me when you meet like a biracial black and white person and they're always like, oh, that's white, it's black. Why the hell are you telling me about what's white and black when you're both? Why you telling me about what's black? I'm blacker than you. Okay, I've been through more hell than you ever could imagine, because you can pass for white whenever you feel like it. You see what I'm saying? And so that's what doesn't make any sense. So explain the positive of your white that you like, or don't try to act like, or to get around someone that's black and act like they completely hate white people, but yet you're half white and you know a whole bunch of white people and that you talk to. So it's like, what's the point of even doing that? Just be real. We all have to find a way to get along on this planet. So there has to be a way to unite and understand. And so this is why I say there would be the perfect representatives to unite the cultures. And I don't know why I got on that, because I was talking about animal breeding and stuff, but still, once again, some humans believe they're animals. So if you believe you're an animal, then most likely you must be a vegetarian at the same time. Where I'm going with this is plain and simple. If you believe you're an animal, then you should be able to support and protect other animals. And you should be able to be the leader of standing up for all species, especially mammals. Because regardless if you think you're a primate or not, primates are mammals as well. A dog, a bear, primates. Not primates, mammals. So it's best to respect that, to understand that. And so it's the same thing with humans. If humans are what you dig, then you got to find a way to understand humans and bring them together. That's just my thing. The moral value in this whole conversation is this, plain and simple. I'm not going to drag this out too long. And I don't remember how I did it last year when I brought up this whole subject. And there might be some things I'm changing and saying different right now when I'm talking about it, but it's still a positive and it needs to be talked about, because I always talk about on here about humanity dying off, the things that are crimes against humanity, us not being able to repopulate and keep our culture and our world going, like the end of humanity. I'm always talking about it. But when it comes to species, if one thing dies, something else is going to die too. It's just the way the world works. Natural selection, they like to say. I like to think of it as mass extinction. And so when it comes to thinking of it that way, you have to ponder, if we go, what animals won't survive? Because, I had a friend, and we did the My Mental Monologue is a show on my first YouTube channel, and we used to talk about stuff. He strongly believed that there's animals that can't exist without us, and he believed that they had to be abolished. I disagree, and we used to have arguments about this. So the thing I trip on when it comes to this is like, he was saying like panda bears, and most panda bears are respected. He's saying that's a dumb animal, can't live without us. Cows are a dumb animal, they can't live without us. And I mean, I heard people say some similar stuff about horses and all this crap. But we're talking about horses been around since the beginning of mankind, ever since freaking Poseidon gave them as a gift to Demeter. If you know your Greek mythology. But seriously, and the thing I'm saying is we need them. We can't live without them. So if there's no humans, horses can't. I mean, they can roam and do their thing that they naturally would do in the wild, but they would lose their coolness. You can't ride them no more. You can't pull stuff with them no more, like on wagons and shit. It's like you can't jump on them with, from a rooftop and start shooting your guns. It's really crappy without horses, man. And it's the same thing without humans being around dogs and cats. What would they do? What dogs do? They walk around like in the Cats and Dogs spy movie and stuff and all that, and cats will start having a kung fu cat town or something. It makes no sense. So, and then on top of that, if we're gone, which species will be the one that take over the planet? Would it go back to dinosaurs, or would it move on to the next mammal, or the next quadruped, or amphibian, or reptile? Well, dinosaurs are reptiles, most of them. So, I don't know, bird, So, the thing about it is, plain and simple, we have to find a way to respect humanity, to not just care about human life, but all life, and try to make it grow in abundance. Yes, they're saying that the world is small and there's not enough places to live, but there's tons of places to live. We just got to find a way to make it bloom in abundance. We have to find a way to terraform and make things livable. Just make deserts livable, make inhabited areas habitable. Find a way to make them safe for not just mankind but animals. There's things hidden in the planet. Yes, there might be Bigfoots and aliens and giants in the earth and stuff like that. But hell, bring them out of them caves and all that stuff they're hiding in and say, "What's going on, guy? You want to be friends? Let me hang out with me, man. We're going to get you drunk." And that's how they keep a giant and a Bigfoot and all that crap hanging out with you. The Loch Ness Monster's down there, throw him something cool down there, make him come up, go in the summer res and say, "Hey, how you doing? Come up top and hang out," and people ride around and pay to get on Nessie and do stuff. And that makes sense. So all I'm saying is we had to find a way to unite everything on Earth. The advancement of technology is one thing. The advancement of certain science and medications is one thing. But to truly evolve, to truly grow as humans, we have to find a way to break the mold, to break all the hidden secrets. We got to find a way to find the truth of everything that's alive on this planet and bring it together. Like having a tribunal of life. And if you don't know what I'm saying, look up tribunal and you'll be like, "Oh, that's pretty interesting. How the hell are you going to do that?" Well, if there's science to make it so you can understand cats, because there's some kind of cat thing where you can talk to cats and they understand you, they can make a way to make it so every animal can talk and understand us as well as whatever other species we come around. Kind of like when you're on Star Trek and they got the thing that makes it so everyone can speak English. For whatever reason they speak English. I don't know why they don't want to speak African or Japanese or something. But whatever, it's TV, it's American TV, and that's how it goes. So, but the whole thing I'm trying to say is that be a tribunal of animals and humans, is a tribunal of life. And that's for everything that's hidden in the earth and around above the earth. And so, the mole people and all that, So, I'm out of breath telling you my ideas and stuff, but we just have to find a way to preserve life and continue the planet as a whole. Because like I said, we can't exist without the opposite and whatever. You have to think of these type of things. So morally, that's the best option and the best way to get things right. Now, what's the immoral part of this whole subject? Is people killing just for fun. Poachers, hunters, butchers that want to just go on and kill stuff because they like killing stuff and they know they go to jail forever if they kill a human, So, we have to find a way to eliminate all these people that do these things, hunting for things that don't make sense. Elephant tusk and all that, and it is crazy. So, as a person can get a large crime for killing a human, a person should also get a large crime for killing a species that's on the extinction list. And so that's the unmoral part, or the part that's just wrong. Is killing things for fun that are on an extinction list, or trapping them, or trying to hold them as some kind of pet or whatever. So I believe, and animal abuse is a real thing. Okay, so I believe there's got to be a way to preserve human life and animal life, and the moral thing to do is not waste any type of life. And that comes from when you're eating all this stuff too, when you're eating all these animals and stuff. If the animal you like eating, find a way to make more of them to replace the ones that you ate. Equivalent exchange, if you will. And be able to preserve that species. Then you can eat it all day long, as long as you can put 40 chickens back from the one you ate. Or something, 3 times the chickens. I'm thinking of something biblical or ancient text and try to make it logical right now, but trying to remember how it goes. But I'm gonna forget about how it goes. I'm just gonna explain. You have to replace what you take in some kind of way, and this is why farm life and all that is good. But you have to find a way to populate in ways that will increase numbers. If you have a place that's just having animals breed and selling them, make sure you're selling them to somebody that's got a worthy cause for the animal, not just to eat it or destroy it or whatever perverted things some humans come up with. And that's pretty much it. Just try to love the planet, everything in it and above it. And then you will have to understand there's something greater than you, and something that greater than you created all these things. It needs you to respect the life circle that they created. So all praises to God, and much love to all of you that love nature, animals, and God, as well as try to understand you have to love yourself as well as you love people. And believe it or not, the one that's not talked about at all a lot is those who love people more than they love themselves. Those people should be rewarded, but at the same time, they have to find a way to find the joys and things they like about themselves and let it grow. Let it grow and be able to respect and admire yourself. And with that all being said, this has been Moral High Ground. Peace be with you, and blessings upon you always. Until next time.